Come on, check this out.
Welcome, everyone, and thanks for joining for today's session, Built to Work, Designed to Wow, how digital signage enhances every experience. We'll be exploring how organizations are turning everyday spaces into engaging, connected environments with digital signage and AV solutions that deliver real-world impact. Joining us today are two industry leaders who help businesses make that transformation possible. Ryan Walsh, Area Vice President at FORTÉ, with over 20 years of experience designing communication systems that seamlessly connect people, technology, and spaces. And also Alex Pinheiro, Senior Business Development Executive at Spectrio, bringing more than a decade of expertise in digital signage, channel development, and partner relationships. They'll share what's working, where businesses get stuck, and how to take a people-first approach to technology that elevates both customer and employee experiences. Feel free to submit questions anytime in the Q&A box. We'll cover as many possible questions that you put in there towards the end, and let's dive in. So welcome. Hey, Ryan, I'm going to go to you first.
That sounds great.
All right. So back in April, AVI Systems announced a name change to FORTÉ. What were the key reasons for this move? And 6 months later, how has it been received so far?
Yeah, absolutely. It's hard to think it's been 6 months. So yeah, as you mentioned, back in April, we had a rebrand from AVI Systems to FORTÉ. So why the rebrand? And I guess I'll preface first with no change in ownership structure. There was no acquisition or merger or anything like that. We are still the Midwest-based integration company that is 100% employee owned. And so why the rebrand? We really think that the name change is catching us up to where we've gone as an organization over the last 5 years. When it came to audiovisual organizations naming themselves, I don't think we were very original. Everybody has AV this or audiovisual that in their name. And when we look at ourselves today as a company, we are so much more than that. We're going to talk a lot today about the digital workplace and the transformation of technology in the modern workplace. And so that's really where we have gone as an organization. We think of ourselves as a modern workplace technology organization now, helping people in their digital environments. And so much more than solid state codecs in hardware. A lot of it is software centric now. And it's thinking about how organizations communicate on a digital platform. And so really it was just catching us up to where we think the industry has gone and where we've gone as an organization. And then why the name FORTÉ? When you're proficient at something, it's your forte. We think that we are proficient in what we do. We think we're the best at what we do. And so it's our forte. Also, back in April, we announced global expansion. So we also needed a name that transcended all languages across the globe. And so being proficient, the meaning of FORTÉ, it means the same thing across the globe. And so that was really the why behind it.
Nice. Now, big fan of it. So well played.
Yeah, thank you.
What are you seeing right now in terms of how businesses are rethinking their physical spaces?
Yeah, I think, as I just mentioned, this idea of hybrid work, it's fully transformed how we now see what we're calling the modern workplace. Remote collaboration and communication through a digital environment, I think, is now crucial for organizations. And it's not something that we were talking about 5 years ago. The conversations that I was having with IT leaders and CIOs 5 years ago was, Yeah, having a communication strategy through technology and on a digital platform, it's kind of important to me. Whereas now, 5 years later, the conversation I'm having is in the CIO stack, having a digital communication strategy is in the top five most important things that they're focused on. And really, when we think of the work that we do with Spectrio, it's how do we communicate to organizations where not everybody is coming to the same place anymore? We need to have a communication strategy when it comes to getting messaging out across an organization. But then also when it comes to building culture, camaraderie, this sense of community, when we're not all gathering in one place anymore and having physical proximity, how do we build that from a digital standpoint? And so I think that's how people are re-envisioning and thinking about their spaces nowadays.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. I see Alex nodding his head. Alex, I'm going to start with you on this next question, and then let Ryan also have a turn at it because you both are front lines in a lot of these solutions. So, what are some of those common challenges your clients face when trying to improve either their customer or their employee experience with either AV or digital signage?
Yeah, thank you, Vic, for the question. So what I see a lot in the marketplace right now is the importance of communicating with employees while they're inside of the locations. And ways that Spectrio has been able to perfect that is by providing an enriched CMS that easily allows them to upload content to the right screens at the right time to ensure that companies are showing the right messaging to the right folks while those folks are in their brick and mortar locations.
And Ryan, how about you?
Yeah, I think from a pain point perspective, as I just mentioned, leaders are now having to rethink an entire communication strategy. And so I think we've seen technology evolve, but the thing is that their workforce or their staff has not necessarily followed the expansion of technology. And so one thing I'm really seeing is this idea of tech overwhelm. So we know we need a strategy. We know we need to put something in place, but who's going to manage it? Who's going to handle it? And then beyond that, in having conversations with customers around content management systems and I guess getting content to their organization, I think there's really a lack of understanding around what a true CMS is actually capable of doing. And so when it comes to implementing and integrating strategy into how they're going to deploy those technology systems, the lack of understanding and what it's actually capable of, I think, hinders people sometimes.
Yeah. Okay.
Hey,
Well,
Vic, if I could just jump in here, one of the ways that Spectrio is able to support FORTÉ, during that journey is by offering, really white glove service, support, remote management, and integrations with business systems as well too. So a lot of times we're not just looking at a screen for a single piece of content anymore. We're turning that screen into real life feeds that show employees and leaders within that company how folks are doing when they're feeding in different business systems such as Salesforce dashboards, Genesis, Tableau, so on and so forth. And one of the nice features that we offer through our marquee MSA with FORTÉ is that we don't go to market with an a la carte approach, right? So we're not nickel and diming any end user for training, tech support, phone calls, integration needs, any of that. Truly, when you partner with a FORTÉ and a Spectrio, everything is included.
No, great. Glad you called that out. I'd also like to talk about this as a project. So I mean, in a lot of cases, we're talking about a concept that you have to execute on, right? So when a client comes to you with the desire to upgrade or enhance their space, how do you guide them from that idea to execution? And Ryan, I'll let you start it off and then kick it over to Alex.
Yeah, so I think for us at FORTÉ, what we want to first do is we want the customer to be at the center of everything that we do. And then when we think of technology, we need systems that can be reliable, right, and easily scale. They need to be flexible and they need to be customizable to help our customers solve the unique communication problems that they're trying to solve. And then on the technology integration side, they need to be secure and seamless. And as Alex just talked about, integrate into other existing IT infrastructure and IT platforms. And so for us, when it comes to the project and helping somebody to enhance their space, we always want to start with an idea of road mapping or having an envisioning session. How do users interact with technology? One, if we're talking from a digital signage strategy or a content strategy, when a user interacts on their personal device, what does that content look like for them? When they're walking in the hallway and they see a digital sign, what is that experience for them? What kind of content is being triggered to them? And then we want to think of the other side, to the people that are managing it and to the people that are actually the operations behind it. What's their experience? Do we want to have a form of permissions that are granted to people that can upload content? And so we always want to start on the human aspect of it, like what is the people interaction going to be with the technology? And from there, develop our plan. Then we can put pen to paper, we can start talking text and specs and how we're going to integrate everything, whether it's a out-of-box solution or something that needs custom integration that we've done with Spectrio and we can handle in-house as well. And then from there, implement it and install it. And then what we're seeing on the other side of execution is having a solid plan of installation is just as important as having a day two managed service to be able to support it on the back end. So it's one thing to install it, but it's another thing to make sure that you are constantly upkeeping it and making sure that people are aware of the feature sets that are being released to them as time goes on.
So, Alex, tell me a little bit about your approach when it comes to getting a customer, in a good position for the execution side. They come to you
Yeah.
with thoughts and you kind of guide them along the way.
Yeah. Thanks again. So after we execute on a project, typically what's most important for me is number one, I would say guiding the customer along the way to have the right experience once digital signage is implemented inside of the location. And then also empowering, what I would refer to as the super user, the end all be all user of the system. So through our CMS, we have feature sets in there that allow for user permission. So a lot of time when we take this journey with the new customer, maybe it starts out as, hey, marketing is going to be, the super user of the system, but then somebody from sales sees it and they want to see KPIs on the sales floor. Somebody from HR sees it and they want to put up reminders, say, hey, don't miss out on the training or make sure to update your healthcare policy. So we do put in their user permissions where any super user can add as many other users. But what's most important is our CMS provides the ability to mitigate the level of access to. So person from HR can only touch those screens. Person from sales can only touch those screens, giving the super user, some reassurance that one person can't come in and kind of botch everything that they've worked so hard to create. The other thing as well, too, and I find this to be something that gets asked about quite a bit, is content approvals. So once you do start letting in all these other extra members into the network, they of course want to upload all of their stuff with their vision, but maybe there has to be some checks and balances within the organization as well, too. So if we do have an additional user upload a piece of content, we also have the ability to feed that back to what I would refer to again as the super user for senior level approval to not only make sure that it meets the quality standards of the business, but also mirrors a lot of the other campaigns that they're currently running.
Got it. Great. No, those are all good tips. And I'm sure people feel much better hands if you're talking about that kind of foresight and strategy. So I do have one question. I'm going to hold it to the end. Jason, thank you for putting it in there. I think it's a great question and something we should be able to get to. And feel free for the rest of the audience, if you have questions, to put them in there as well. I'm going to move on a little bit because I want to talk about, we use the word people first. And you don't always think of that with AV solutions or digital signage. Ryan, can you share an example of a project where this approach really delivered those results?
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm going to really focus in on answering this one from the standpoint of people first. We're talking content strategies. This example I'm going to share is a little bit outside of the CMS world, but really focuses on the people first aspect of what I think we do as an industry. So I like to emphasize to my teams all the time that what we do actually has real world impact on the mission and the objectives that our customers are trying to move forward. And so for us, we work with a local children's hospital in Southern California. And we were asked to transform one of their auditoriums that their heart surgeons use to look at rare cases of congenital heart defects. And so we started talking to them about, what level of integration do they need with hospital platforms, and how did they envision technology working? Everything I outlined kind of in the last conversation, the last question that we had. And so we ended up moving forward and installing a solution for them. And for me, my job pretty much dropped after I had heard some feedback from the doctors and from the surgeons about how the spaces were being used. And we walked in and we asked them, how's the technology functioning? Is everything working the way that you would want it? Do you need programming updates? And they said their response to us was, the communication that you're enabling us to do is a matter of life and death sometimes with these patients, with some of these kids and some of these heart defects that they're born with. And so we are forever grateful for you and how your organization has partnered with our organization to move our objectives forward, and how you guys have enabled us to communicate and to do what we do better. And so for me, that's what it's all about. It's the people that are interacting with the technology. That's the people first aspect. And I've gotten the chance to work with Alex, and I know that that's how we approach everything. That use case is a little bit more serious than others, but it's no different if we're walking into a retail space, if we're walking into a corporate customer. That same thought is going to be how we're leading the conversation.
Wow, that's a powerful story. Thanks for sharing. I'm going to turn to you, Alex, and that's a tough act to follow as far as I don't know if you have anything that tugs at the heartstrings, but I am also curious to know some examples of that people first strategy and how you deliver on that.
Yeah, definitely a tough act to follow. So when I think people first, what comes to mind is there are people that make decisions with inside of organizations that companies depend on that individual making the right and proper decision, right? So it's important for me to do my due diligence on the front end to understand what is the desire, what is the future, and then also what pain points can I solve as well too. So recently, an NFL team in Florida came to us. They were using a competitor of ours, and they had some pain points. So it was really important upfront to understand what the pain points were and how I was going to problem solve those pain points with the Spectrio solution. And then, so as conversation went on, we gathered and developed a go forward plan. We also put in place a very unique content development plan, because in our world here at Spectrio, content is king. If we don't have the right content on the screens at the right time, showing it to the right people, we're completely missing the mark. So how I think of people first is providing people with a solution and a problem solve, and providing a great platform at the end of the day that allows them to accomplish their goals.
Yeah, you got some of these things. I know that may be something we don't think about often, is the people pulling the levers or making the decisions to implement your solution. They're putting their reputation and name on the line as well. So you want to do your job, make them look good by delivering on those results. So I think that's as important as anything else. Great. So appreciate you both sharing that. Now, I get some of these things are learned through mistakes, right? So experiences, some of the best experiences are where we've fallen down or we've seen somebody, skin their knee, so to speak, along the way. And so I'm going to ask you both, what are some common mistakes or missed opportunities you see businesses make with their space or their digital signage strategy? Alex, I'll go to you first, and then we'll go reverse order this time.
Yeah, I think some common mistakes are uh, anytime you get a new and kind of shiny tool, everybody wants to use it, right? But then as time goes on, I do think some people kind of set it and forget it. So I think that that is one of the biggest misses there. Another big miss, I would say too, is not implementing data and analytics into your signage strategy to ensure that we can feed you back the proper data that allows you to make the best decision. So, do you have the screens placed in the right area? Do you have them in high traffic area? How many people are looking at those screens? Implementing things like content triggers. So we have the ability to trigger content based on who is standing in front of the screen. Is that person male, female? What age range are they? We even also have the ability to trigger content based on sentiment. So, Vic, hey, if you come into my retail shop and my data and analytics system says, hey, looks like Vic might have had a bad day today. Maybe that triggers a piece of content that's very uplifting. Not only uplifts your mood, but hopefully changes your buying behavior as well too.
That's good stuff. Ryan, what do you see out there that people either step in at a no fault of their own, or they go in blind? What are some of the learnings you've experienced?
Yeah, so I think for me, it really comes down to trying to install or integrate a solution without having a plan. A term we like to use here at FORTÉ is this idea of having technological debt. That's not that's installing something and not counting the costs and evaluating the ROI that you're trying to receive from the investment that you're making. You install your content platform without a true plan in place. Communication strategies Alex just talked about, like what it goes back to the people first concept we were just talking about. How do you want your users to interact with the content that they're experiencing? And I think for most people, they think, oh, well, I'll put a PowerPoint on a USB drive and just call it good. And then really that to me is installing without a plan. And then nothing has changed in their workforce and nothing has changed in their communication strategy. So that's leading them to not have any ROI on the investment that they had made. And so Alex talked a little bit earlier. I think there's really great synergy between FORTÉ and Spectrio when we can go in together and we can help to map and envision with our customers what that true content strategy can look like. The biggest mistake, I guess, if I could summarize it, is our customers thinking, I got this. I can go at it alone. We touch a lot of customers. We see a lot of things, and we're here to help people to solve their communication issues. And we have a lot of things that we can integrate and we can implement to help them with that. And so I guess that would be my piece of encouragement is don't go at it alone. Bring in trusted professionals.
Good advice. I like it. So now we talked about a little bit earlier, new and shiny. Everybody wants to, it's a good idea. We should upgrade our stuff. We need to have a better customer experience, but I'm interested to hear what you're all living it day in, day out, and you're kind of those horizon watchers for the rest of us. What are some of the emerging tech and trends out there that excite you when it comes to, in location engagement? What's the future look like? Ryan, you want to start, and then I'll kick it back over to Alex.
Yeah, I'll start there. We talked a lot about content strategy, but for me, retail space and immersive experiences from a content standpoint, it's very cool what you can do now and what we've seen out there. The side of that excites me is integrating AI into that workflow. Alex just talked about triggering content based upon people's moods or different demographics. And so I think it's really cool to see what can be done from that standpoint in technology. Now, I think we have to toy the line of the creepiness factor that is involved in that. But I think just as far as what can be triggered from an AI workflow standpoint, one from a content strategy, but also in immersive experiences. Like, how do I have that retail experience where I'm going to buy a pair of shoes and I don't know, I use golf for example. I'm buying a pair of golf shoes and it can be as almost as if I'm on the course and have that real world immersive experience rather than just having a transactional approach. And so I think from all of those things, there's some really cool stuff we're doing around digital experience and how AI integrates into that is pretty cool. And I think what's going to be more common talk in the next year or so.
Alex, you want to expand upon that a little?
Yeah, I love everything that you said there, Ryan. One example that I would use, and I'm not sure if it's emerging, but it's certainly something that's talked about pretty often, is enriching the experience when you do walk into a retail facility, right? So if I walk into a retail shop, one of the things that we've been implementing pretty often is our lift and learn technology. So if I walk into your local sporting goods store and I pick up a pair of Nike Air Max, well, that triggers a piece of content on the screen showing me, that specific product being used in a very nice way. Not only that, but I'd be remiss if I did talk about the triggering of content again, based on who's standing in front of the screens and what ads apply to them. Um, it's so important to show the correct content to the right person at the right time. And if we're doing that, not only are we creating a fantastic guest experience, but we're hopefully, selling more product as well too for the customer.
Yeah. Ryan said it was creepy. I like to say personalized experiences, right?
Yeah.
I think that's better. I think we're toying the line of creepiness depending on how you look at
No,
it.
I hear you. And anybody that's not in the industry and my wife all the time shows me your phone and said, this is so creepy. So it just resonated with me.
Hey,
All right.
Ryan, I get that quite a bit too. Like when we talk a lot about like our camera and radar technology, the first question that's almost always asked is, "Are you facial recognizing anybody?" And the answer to that is no. We are not facial
Right.
recognizing
Right.
anybody.
Good call out there because I think there are some businesses out there that are concerned with crossing that line and questions that they'd probably get after implementation that they want to feel comfortable answering. So great. Well, I just had one more kind of planned question for this conversation, and then we'll see where it goes from there. But I always like to ask this as a conclusion, but what's one piece of advice you'd give a business leader who's just starting to explore signage or AV enhancements? Ryan, you want to take it, and then Alex close us out, and we'll go field Q&A. But what kind of advice would you give somebody?
Yeah, absolutely. We talk all the time, and I know Alex will echo these sentiments about being a strategic business advisor, being a true partner. And so, if you're embarking on the journey of AV enhancements, look for a partner. We talk about managing people's entire audiovisual estate. And so, just don't think of it from a transactional or project to project standpoint, but who's going to be a true partner? Who's going to come alongside you and help to move your mission, your challenges that are unique to your organization and move those forward, not just from a vendor standpoint, but truly from a partnership aspect.
Alex, I ask you the same question. What kind of advice would you give someone?
That's a tough act to follow, Ryan. Because I think everything you said was spot on. I would encourage everybody to truly choose a partner. Choose somebody who's invested into your business that also cares about your success as well too. Choose somebody who's encouraged to have the QBRs with you. Choose somebody who is encouraged to learn about what the future looks like at your business and how that vendor can help you achieve some of those goals as well. Also, and I think that this is probably one of the simplest things to say, but it's also one of the most important. Choose somebody who's going to pick up the phone and help you when you need help. It's really easy to answer the phone when the times are good and everything is working the way it should, but it's so important to choose somebody who's going to be responsive to you when you need that extra nudge or that tech support phone call. Look for partners like that. And I think here at Spectrio, really that is something that you will receive here every single day, day in and day out.
Great. All right. I have one question in the chat. Jason, thank you for being patient with us. I think this is geared to Alex because it does reference Spectrio. It says, does Spectrio offer content strategy sessions assisting clients with what content works, content suggestions, content calendar strategy?
Jason, great question. Thank you for that. So here at Spectrio, we have a very vast and knowledgeable content team. And typically how content strategy sessions work is we will schedule an appointment with you. I will bring in, the best of the best from the content team. We will hear what your vision is, and then we will work with you to not only create that vision, but make expert suggestions as well too from what we're seeing across the industry. So not only can we get you to where you need to be, but we can also help guide you in the right direction.
Good stuff. I'm going to ask my co-host Megan, who's in the background helping facilitate this. Any other questions that have come in? Nothing else, she says. Okay. Well, with
That
that,
just means we covered it all.
Yeah, we knocked it out of the park, right?
Well, again, I want to thank both Ryan and Alex for being here today and sharing their background, their knowledge, their insights, hopefully to help you if you're out there and venturing into this space or been here a long time. Hopefully you got something out of it, and I'll let you all have the rest of your day back, and I hope you have a good end of your week.
Thank you, everybody.